Also coming up, over 50 Tamale Technical University allowances due them.
With a number of resolutions, and
can take our children life better. Yeah, it's still in search for formal education. That's how it comes. That should be the price for us to.
The livelihoods of people. Only that it wasn't up to this number, so it wasn't as widely. Time we look at this again, but of course our condolences to the family. Very difficult time for them, and they're in our prayers during these very difficult moments.
I agree. I totally agree. And viewers, we will be bringing you updates as and when they come in. We have a team on standby at Fana. This is where so far 9 school children. I mean, it's so painful. It's so painful.
I mean, mind you,
9 school children
not too long ago in
just
2021,
drowned like that.
In 2021, we had a similar story involving teens in a pump, but theirs was they went swimming. And they drowned. And we've not even gotten over it too much. You go to the community.
And one disturbing fact about all this is that we've not even seen a report from there, what recommendations were made, if they are being implemented or not. This we understand an artificial canal has been created for whatever purpose, we are not sure. We also do not know why these school children are not using road transport instead of water transport. And if that is the main major mode of transport in the area, why has it not been developed to a point that it is safe for children to travel on? Why are they traveling without life jackets? Why are we subjecting ourselves to some of these things? It hurts so much that a person will lose their life to some of these things.
When it could have been easily avoided.
avoided.
So this happening, like you see. I mean, what will happen in the next couple of days is that you see maybe the gender ministry go and pay a visit. The MP for the area will gather some things.
We understand the MCE is actually
the MCE to gather some things. Then
MCE, I believe, will be Patrick Kumo.
Yes. We'll also gather some few items, go. Opposition will also try and use this to look at other ways we can make living in some of these communities a little bearable for the residents there.
Yeah, and it's worrying that as up till now, from 5 p.m. yesterday till now, there's not a single officer from the National Disaster Management Organization. Wow, Master Ghana. I mean, Hansen sat here yesterday and told me that Ghana is a sorry state, and I was trying to fight him. But I mean, with this story, I don't know. I don't know. But let's make progress. Let's do some politics now, because the Electoral Commission has suspended its supervision of the upcoming primaries for the National Democratic Congress. Let's find out why.
Electoral Commission of Ghana, EC, has served notice that it will not supervise the National Democratic Congress's primaries scheduled for Saturday, May 13, until all legal issues associated with it are resolved. Now, according to the EC, going ahead to organize the primaries will be disrespecting the judiciary since it amounts to a contempt of court. City News' Akusia Ochre has been following the development and has come through with this report.
Flag-bearer hopeful of the National Democratic Congress, Dr. Kwabena Duffuor, on May 9 filed a suit against the party following what he says are some discrepancies his team has identified in the voters' register to be used for the elections on Saturday. In a writ filed at the High Court, Dr. Duffuor indicated that the party failed to provide the required photo album register a few weeks ahead of the elections as stated in the party's rules. He stated that a partial photo album register was given to his team on May 4, few days ahead of the elections, rather than in March when they had submitted a request for one. Dr. Duffuor added that despite his request for a postponement of the elections until a to grant an interlocutory injunction to restrain the party from holding the primaries, but the legal team of the NDC has responded. They described the suit as an attempt to delay the election.
As of 5:30-45 thereabout yesterday, we were served with the writ. For me, this writ is frivolous and an attempt to thwart the effort of the party in the organization of the primaries. That's how I see it. As lawyers, we are trying to use the legal processes available to us to ensure that this application is heard before. So we are trying to ensure that the date for the hearing comes backwards to say tomorrow or Friday.
Responding to some of the issues raised by Dr. Duffuor, the Elections Committee of the NDC says it does not think the aggrieved aspirant has a genuine case.
When it comes to delegate list, actually, those problems are not there. Those problems were not there. But when we come to the issue of the album, because we are using a data from the constituencies, and those data delayed us, and some of them came in error. So we have such problems. In fact, if you take the album, register the album. Dufour's name is not in the photo album, but it's in the exceptional list. Because his constituency didn't get the opportunity to engage him, to give them the voter ID that you can use to extract his picture. So it is not only Dufour, I'm just mentioned Dufour, and it is also going to affect many of our former appointees. But that doesn't mean that they'll vote, but because the prime data, which is the delegate list, is there, they can vote because we use that one with their voter ID to vote.
Following the writ, the Electoral Commission, after a meeting with the national leadership of the NDC, released a statement announcing that it will not supervise the party's primaries scheduled for May 13 until all legal issues associated with it are resolved. According to the Electoral Commission, going ahead to organize the primaries will amount to a contempt. The elections now hangs in the balance, and the Elections Committee of the NDC believes it has come too far with preparations to postpone it.
If you look at the NDC where we are in opposition, having invested resources in printing ballot papers, engaging police, engaging media, and even renting spaces. Right now we have paid for almost all the sentence we are going to engage, we're going to the elections. So if you look at all these costs and you see a suit without even admitting that it will stop us, if it does, it means that we are going to start the whole thing that we have already started. The party already has no money to run even these elections that we are in. Then you pull us back to waste resource. I believe this will be something that even the people who went to court will reflect on and ask ourselves that, is it necessary at all for us to go to court if you can resolve this thing so we can save that resource that we are going to spend it. NDC at any given time when a situation like this comes up, 1 minute we use to spend what we can do in 1 hour, which is 1 minute. So you can imagine what we can do between from now to 10 p.m. today.
But will the camp of Dr. Kwabena Duffuor withdraw the suit to allow the party go ahead with Saturday's polls?
At the fourth May meeting, those letters to contempt, where I said, and the infractions identified, I do not think that we will be able to have the election because of the infractions identified. They will have to fix it.
So what we know also is that another aspirant, that's Kojo Bonsu, is also urging the party to postpone the primaries to allow for the discrepancies with the votes go ahead with the primaries. For which reason, if you do, you'll be held in contempt.
Yeah, I mean, Nanatu, there's actually precedence to this in a similar case involving was the General Secretary of the FA, Prosper Harrison, who was also served with that particular injunction. And in that, they were seeking to put the league on hold.
At the point where he was served,
the supervision of the FA and the General Secretary, who acts as the CEO really of the league. And of course,
he was found to be in
contempt of court, and he was subsequently jailed. So based on that, you understand the reasoning behind the EC's decision not to go ahead with providing the necessary logistical support for the NDC's presidential elections. And for me, I mean, interesting times. I've said that to a large extent, we saw this coming. And I mean, he paid 500,000 Ghana cedis. That was Dr. Kwabena Duffuor to be a part of this election. So if he feels hard done by in any way concerning the election, it's well within his rights as a person to say, I don't think this is being done properly, and I want to seek redress in court because of the resources he's committed to this. But like I've said, I mean, for those of us who've been or a fair playing field for other candidates who are seeking to contest the former president. So am I saying so? You would recall, it was almost as though in the stadium it was a John Mahama coronation. Every speaker that came on stage mentioning his name. So some of these things in the long run gave room for some of these things. But I think it's very important that the party and Dr. Duffuor's campaign go back to the locker room, go behind closed door, try and sort out their issues. I've listened to Deputy General Secretary of the party, Mustafa Gbandi, and he is very confident that between now and at least latest by Friday, they should be able to sort out the issues. So,
but the party has actually issued a statement to that effect. And then also we've seen moves to have the courts hear the matter earlier than initially slated. Because I think the initial date was 15th.
Yes.
15th of May. That would have been after the 13th where the primaries is scheduled. So that's also worrying, right?
I mean, even if you read the rates.
When did Dr. Duffuor file?
He filed
on the 10th?
Yes, no, 9th May.
On 9th May.
On 9th May.
And persons, the parties involved were served on the 10th.
On the 10th. So
why was the date for the hearing scheduled for 15th?
Per the schedule, it's practically impossible to still go ahead with Saturday. And even if you go back to what Dr. Duffuor is seeking in this, he wants the complete
photo album
presented to him 5 weeks before the election. So if you put all of this together,
but are these the rules of the game? The party has its rules for its internal elections. Are the rules of the internal elections being followed? If they are, then I don't think Dr. Duffuor will be aggrieved.
I mean,
clearly there's something amiss.
If you listen to his spokesperson and other people close to his campaign, they feel like all of these were agreed. Together with other people and the General Secretary of the party to frustrate the process. Really, really dicey times. Go into that meeting with the Electoral Commission boss, Madam Jean Mensah. But like I've said, I believe that this is an internal party affair. I mean, everybody involved will claim to love their party as much as they claim to, right? So this is something that could or should be, they should be able to solve behind the scenes. So in the coming days, I expect that, I mean, this is a true test of the national chairmanship of Esedun Ketia now. His ability to bring all the factions together involved and try and sort it out.
Right.
Now, Kojo Bonsu coming out with that view also changes the dynamics of it. So it'll be interesting what the former president John Mahama also thinks about all of this. But clearly, the party is very clear in its mind that they want to go ahead with Sati. But if they do this without the EC, it would also appear as a backward step in the party's democratic credentials. So it's very tricky.
You saw the smile on my face when you mentioned Madame G. Mensah. It's born out of her opening statement yesterday.
Exactly. You might want to remind viewers.
She's actually courting the NDC to return to IPAC.
Which is not a bad call in itself. So that's a fair call.
All right. Thank you very much, Jude. You're watching CNR Extra here on City TV, still to come. Over 50 High Court jurors from the Western region embark on an indefinite strike over 13 months unpaid allowances. We'll tell you more shortly. Do stay.
Day 4. Now this promises to be a long day of discovery. Waking up at the Ganas Hotel and enjoying a sumptuous breakfast, we are ready. Experience a display of fashion and all sorts of artifacts and memorabilia. Conversations with patrons, with drivers, with vendors. Then we head out to Paga. At the Pagapio Palace, a beautiful reception awaits with all the dance and pageantry. Watch out for Day 4 Part 1 of the Heritage Caravan Diaries.
You're welcome back. This is CNR Extra here on City TV. Now, Jude, you remember that on World Press Freedom Day, a journalist was attacked in the studio.
I mean, you see, a lot of the time, the narrative is that it is government who does the oppression of journalists when the narrative doesn't go in their favor. But this time, it was actually someone from the opposition.
On his own plea. Let's listen to this.
The district court in Tamale, presided over by His Worship Amadou Isifu, has slapped a 3,600 Ghana cedi fine on former National Democratic Congress NDC Northern Regional Communications Officer Hadi Pagzar and one Mumuni Osman for assaulting a radio presenter of Dagban Radio in Tamale. The two, who on Monday, police custody, pleaded guilty to all charges. The charges include conspiracy to commit crime, to wit assault, unlawful entry.
Well, the court has done its work very expeditiously, actually.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. I was really going to mention
really,
that.
this is what we like to see so that it serves as a deterrent to others. The punishment, although, but I understand it was based on his own admission of guilt, and then his counsels did actually well to plead for non-custodial sentence.
Yeah, I mean, I think I heard him or people remorse in all importance that we still work towards improving the state of security for journalists in the country. I mean, long ago, School of Communication for journalists of it is becoming the way the court fast-track this process, and to some extent some sort of justice has been served. Also very important is that we remind colleague journalists to be very responsible when they go about some other people calling themselves as journalists. I mean, it's important that we continually remind ourselves of what the set standards are
Back on an industrial action over the government's delay in approving and paying of their new salaries. It stated that if by May 12 the association does not have their new salaries approved, its members will wear red armbands from the week beginning May 15 and finally strike on their intended date. Meanwhile, after the meeting, JUSAC accused the government of showing bad faith in addressing their concerns. They claimed key stakeholders, including representatives from the Office of the President and the Finance Ministry, were not present at the meeting.
The meeting failed to meet our expectations. It was our expectation that the solution to the problem we are dealing with, which lies on the desk of His Excellency the President, is what would have been talked about so that the Labour Commission could advise or perhaps order the President to give us the necessary approval for implementation in the month of May, as we all expected. It's so unfortunate that when we came here, we've been here up till around 2 p.m. before we were called in. To our utter dismay, the people who matter so much in this matter and hold the solution to the problem, i.e. the Office of the President, the Minister of Labour, as well as Finance, did not show up for the meeting. And since they failed to show up, it is sending a signal to us that the sensitivity and the plight of staff of the Judicial Service is not being respected. Our plight is something that is not being considered.
However, the Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission, Ofusua Samoa, denied JUSAC's allegations. He added that the Commission had directed the Labour Ministry to organize a meeting with all stakeholders to resolve the issue. The parties are expected to meet again on May 24, 2023.
The Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations was represented by an Assistant Director, Mr. Daniel Sechi, and from the Judiciary, the management of the Judicial Council were here. So, which of the government side? The Commission has directed that the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations should convene a meeting of all stakeholders. That is the members of the JUSAC, the executives, the management of the Judicial Service, representing the Presidency, the Ministry of Finance, and then the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. They are to engage under the chairmanship or the presidency of the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations Minister, and to report the outcome of their engagement to the Commission on or before the 24th of May. They are to engage and report the outcome of their engagement to the Commission on or before the 24th of May.
Meanwhile, a meeting between the National Labour Commission and the University of Cape Coast chapter of the Senior Staff Association of Universities of Ghana also ended inconclusively. Addressing the media, the chairman of the University of Cape Coast chapter of the Senior Staff Association of Universities of Ghana, Sunday Kumi Sinatra, says the NLC has given the association up to June 21, 2023 to reconvene after it has further engagement with its management.
Subsequent to a declaration of strike by the Senior Staff Association, University of Cape Coast. In the best wisdom of the Labour Commission, they direct that we call off the strike and meet with management for a possible resolution. That's notwithstanding, we met. However, we were asked to report back to the commission today, and it's still, in our opinion and in the opinion of the commission, most of the things are so inconclusive. For that reason, the commission could not have taken a firm stance on the issue and has requested that we go again and dialogue with management of the university and report back.
Well, let me apologize. That inset was rather the Judicial Service Staff Association of Ghana, and of how that meeting with the non-representation of the relevant authorities at that meeting. They've given government a 5-day ultimatum to approve and implement some recommended salary adjustments. We're waiting to see if the 5-day ultimatum elapses, what will happen. But let's go back to the original story, where some jurors in the Western region are also up in arms with the state over their unpaid allowances.
Over 50 High Court jurors from the Western region have embarked on an indefinite strike over 13 months unpaid allowances they are entitled to. Now, speaking to City News, the members of the jurors said efforts to get the allowances paid have not yielded any positive results, hence their decision to stop sitting on criminal cases where their services are needed until they are paid.
The Ghanaian court system, for any criminal case including murder, rape, defilement, among others, to proceed, a jury, which is usually made up of around 7 members, is selected from the public, swears an oath, and assists the court to pass a judgment. These members of the jury, though not paid, are given some allowances to cover their expenses. However, in the Western region, the over 50 jurors at the High Court have declared an indefinite strike over 13-month unpaid allowances.
For 13 months now, from February 2022, you have not been given anything. As jurors, when you sit on any case, you are entitled to an allowance for any case that is sit for that particular day. So if imagine if I have sat on about 4 cases or 5 cases in a month, and for 13 months you are not being paid, it's not easy. Some of us are staying at various that until the court pay us all our 13 allowance, we are not going to court again.
As for last year, February to this year, we've not been getting any allowances so far. So based on that, we've taken a unanimous decision to boycott sitting.
As a result of the strike, several criminal cases that were expected to be sat this week at the Secondary High Court have been adjourned indefinitely. Lawyer Fifi Bokman, whose case couldn't take place on Tuesday as a result of the strike, expressed his frustration to City News.
So far as our criminal justice system has not, effaced the jury system, I believe that government would have to do whatever possible to ensure that jurors are given whatever is needed, or the remuneration that is needed for them to carry out their business, because they being on strike is seriously affecting the criminal justice system. Today, like this, I had a case in court. It's taking some time even to get an interpreter. Now we get an interpreter, we go to court, jurors are on strike. I mean, it is something that we have to look into.
In response, the Western Regional High Court Registrar and the Sovo, while admitting the allowances owed the jurors, told City News their strike.
Well, quite disturbing, because more or less all criminal cases that require the services of jurors are going to come to a standstill in the Western region. And then nationally, on the national front, the judicial service staff are threatening to embark on a strike because they also want an agreed or a recommended upward adjustment in their salaries to be implemented.
Yeah, I mean, to start with the JUSAC case at the national level, I mean, their concern was that it was an absolute show of bad faith from government and the finance ministry because there were no representatives there. And to an extent, I agree with them. At the very least, what the ministry or government could have done was to send someone to at least listen to them.
We have no solution at the moment, so going to sit there was what, out of respect?
Some optics of it.
FFNF.
Sometimes just for the mere optics of it. And a lot of the times actually too, it's because someone wants people just want a listening ear. I mean, of course, later they'll push for it to be addressed. But see, listen to us, take this up in your discussions and see how you can help us. But to come to this, the ones involving the jurors in the Western region. I mean, not to for. The state of justice delivery in the country is in very shaky times. Let me put it that way, because I mean, so many things are happening. Of course, under this outgoing Chief Justice, we've seen some great infrastructural development.
It's funny you mentioned that because we're seeing most of it at the latter point of its
that is quite. I mean, that is very.
I mean, there's the school
synonymous
of
with leadership in
let
this
me
country.
Hold on to that
if you want to go into this,
let me hold on to that thought. You sat here. Government went to Kumawu to fix roads.
We beg you.
And you raised issues.
We beg you. We beg you. But like I'm saying, we've seen. I mean, if you go to Kumasi, for instance, so many infrastructural projects, houses, court rooms being done for judges and judicial staff. So that's a plus. The only challenge on the other side, on the flip, if you flip the coin, is that
the work
itself. Welfare of the workers. To a large extent, every now and then you see complaints coming through. But I mean, if you look at it at a bigger picture, every single group in this country, as it stands now, is dissatisfied in a way or two about their working conditions. The main problem at the end of the day is about how our economy is not doing well.
Exactly. I was going to say that they may have been able to shelve the concerns over a period. But the prevailing economic conditions we have,
it's almost impractical to do anything. So, I mean, I want to plead with the jurors there. I hope they are able to still engage with the relevant authorities, because, I mean, for every other person I mean, not too long ago, I escorted someone to a hospital, and while I was there waiting for the person, I was engaging a nurse. It's terrible. It's terrible. And not too long ago, we were discussing the mass exodus of nurses out of the country. So it's difficult for everybody in the country. Go to the private sector, go to traders at Agbobloshi, go to spare parts dealers. Everybody's necks are being pressed. So we want to plead with them. Justice delivery is one of the key things still holding our democracy together. When you don't have justice being delivered in an efficient and an effective manner, it gives rise to anarchy. What it means is that everybody takes the law into their own hands, and we don't want to live in a society like that. So for me, I want them to recognize the role they play in society and the role they play in keeping our nation together, and still persevere to some point. And I believe that in the coming days, we've heard the World Banks are doing some magic again. The IMF is also...
don't do this.
The IMF is also...
Don't do this. We've heard information minister say just yesterday that the IMF money is not the only panacea to delivering us.
It is at least to soften things a little. So, I want to plead with them. The IMF is
how many people are taking fuel allowance?
Dr. Ban during the May Day celebration was loud and clear, and I don't even want to go back to it. But I'm just saying that you should just hold on a little and recognize their role in society and just staying there a little.
Well, you're still watching CNR Extra here on City TV, still to come. More unrest at the labor front as Technical University Teachers Association of Ghana after Tamale Technical University withdraws all services over non-payment of certain allowances to them. We'll get into the details after this. Don't go away.
Day 4. Now this promises to be a long day of discovery. Waking up at the Ganas Hotel and enjoying a sumptuous breakfast, we are ready. Experience the display of fashion and all sorts of artifacts and memorabilia. Conversations with patrons, with drivers, with vendors. Then we head out to Paga. At the Pagapio Palace, a beautiful reception awaits with all the dance and pageantry. Watch out for Day 4 Part 1 of the Heritage Caravan Diaries.
You're welcome back. Now, the Technical University Teachers Association of Ghana, the Tamale Technical University chapter of TUTAG, is also on strike. They're also demanding certain allowances that are due them.
The Technical University Teachers Association of Ghana, TUTAG, of the Tamale Technical University chapter, has withdrawn all services effective Wednesday, May 10, over non-payment of certain allowances due them and the use of unapproved formula in paying end-of-service benefits of staff. The affected services include conducting end-of-semester examination, marking of
The fate of over 6,000 students of the Tamale Technical University hangs in a balance as their last paper for the end of semester exams has been put on hold owing to the withdrawal of service by technical management of the university has failed to implement the approved formula in the payment of end-of-service benefits, which is stated in their condition of service and approved by the university's council. Speaking at a press conference in Tamale on Wednesday, leadership of TUTAG revealed that check issued for the payment of recently retired staff were prepared based on the old formula. They also indicated that almost all the internally generated fund-related allowances have not been paid. The Vice Chairperson of TUTAG, Tatu Chapter, Dr. Abdul Malik Bawa, addressed the media today in Tamale.
The formula states that 1 month's basic salary at the point of exit is supposed to be multiplied by the number of years the staff has served the university. And that formula is supposed to determine how much any retiring staff of the university will be paid. But before this particular formula was approved by Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, we had differences with management when it comes to the payments. So GTEC came in at that time and we signed an MOU that was supposed to serve the purpose for the payments until we get approval for our conditions of service. So when the conditions of service got approved, we didn't expect management of the university to rely on the MOU that was previously signed.
He added that several meetings with management to address their concerns has yielded no results.
That compelled us to call our members to an emergency meeting today, and the meeting came out with a number of resolutions. And one of them is to withdraw our support for the ongoing end of semester examination.
Students of the university on Wednesday afternoon marched up at the administration demanding answers from authorities on why their exams had been cancelled. The school's public affairs director, Osman Mubarak Abu, assured the students that management is working with TUTAG to address their concerns.
As we speak now, we have just finished meeting with the exam officer to find out how best we can continue with the exams. However, there are indications that we need to do further consultation with key stakeholders in the university to see how best we can continue this current examination. So I'm just informing you to stay calm whilst we continue to engage TUTAC to reverse their current position.
You know, for the longest time, when you hear of a TUTAC strike, it's synonymous with book and research allowance. It looks like some level of agreement has been made on that side. But clearly, they have other allowances they are demanding.
So now we understand is what? End of service benefits.
Yeah.
We hope that this also doesn't become a mainstay in the news that now they have.
Bro, book and research allowances really traveled.
I mean, it was serious. Both TUTAC and UTAC. I mean, they were all on it all the time. I mean, like I was saying, it points back to our previous discussion. It's barely impossible, really, to find any labor front that is not, or that is very pleased or very comfortable as things stand. Almost practically impossible. So I think it's a collective effort now. I mean, government in the past, the finance minister, the president himself, the vice president have all called for us to rally together as a people, because these are very difficult times. And when we pass through this phase, things will get better.
And this is what they don't want to hear, because it looks like it is better for some people on some side. You see, the sloganeering, the Obiabedidi didn't happen. And now we are being told we are in this together. We're in this together, but when I turn around, I don't see some people.
When you turn around, you see V8.
You understand?
And I feel you.
Meanwhile, my heels are dusty because I've been walking for God knows how long.
I feel you. But I mean, it's also important that our government tries to let all of these labor fronts know that we are in a difficult time. They show it through its actions and inactions. So it's very important that the calls we've heard from civil society, from academia, from other well-meaning Ghanaians on the need to cut costs and prioritize relevant sectors of the economy is heeded to by government, so we can all make progress in this. But like I said, difficult times, but it's important we collectively rally together as a people and just see through this phase.
When two elephants fight, it is the ground that suffers.
Definitely.
We don't want to burden the students anymore. They're already burdened with the task of learning for their exams and all that. And so let's have the states or the relevant authorities intervene in this matter as soon as possible. Always a pleasure having you on the show, Jude Mensah Duncan. Thank you for showing up, and thank you for all that insight you've delivered this morning. My name is Nana Tufo Boateng. Many thanks to you for joining us. Keep watching City TV.